Okay, welcome Introduction to Engineering Design students. For today's activity, we are going to be designing an intermediate level isometric part in Fusion 360. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the object right now, and I want you to take a look at this and make a decision. If you would like to attempt and make this part without this tutorial, and if you do, just go ahead and screenshot this and go ahead and give it a go. Or you could follow along with this tutorial and I'll walk you through how I would build this object. Okay? I'm fine with whatever approach you do as long as you get it correct, and you can also try to build it on your own, and if it doesn't work out you can always jump back to the video as well. So go ahead, decide, and then let's go ahead and get started. So if I'm making this object, the first thing I'm going to make are these down C's over here, and that's because everything else is built on top of them. It has a bunch of units, but let's first make the base shape and then add the units after. So in Fusion 360, I'm going to create a sketch, and I'm going to select the YZ plane, that's this plane over here. And the reason I did that is because the C's are kind of pointed at the side. So if I draw on the YZ plane, they'll also be pointed to the side. And I'm going to use the line tool to draw the C shape. Okay, so it looks something like this, and I'm not putting in the dimensions. I'm just kind of drawing in the shape. I'll get the dimensions after this. Close that off, and that's looking pretty good. Looking here, I'm going to kind of cross out the dimensions as I see them. So we have the 30 for the distance of that opening. We got 10 units each of the legs. We got 5 units the thickness in between. We got 16 units for the height. And I think that's about everything we need. So let's go ahead and add those in. So I click the dimension tool, click on this line first, specify 30 and press enter. Right away you might notice that it kind of broke it apart. That's fine. I'm going to press escape to exit the dimension tool, and then I'm going to grab the line that isn't dimension and just kind of move that along. Okay? As long as a line isn't dimensioned, you are more than welcome to move it. I'm going to select the dimension tool again, and while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and specify the height as 16 units. It moved this one as well, so I think I'm good on that front. And then each of these little legs here was a total of 10 units. And the inside portion, this line here, should be 5. Okay, so we have everything we need. Now there's 2 of these, and I don't want to go through the whole process again, so what we're going to do is we're going to mirror this object. And to mirror an object, first you need a construction line to act as your mirror. So I'm going to click line here, and I'm going to just use the origin and draw a line straight up, and then press escape. It doesn't matter the length of the line, it just matters that you have a line. Looking back at the sketch, the distance from one of these legs, the edge of this leg here, all the way over to the other leg on this side is 180 units. So if I'm mirroring this object, it's only going to be half of that, and it's going to be 90. So I'm going to dimension from the edge of this C foot here to this mirror here, and I'm going to click that down and type in 90 units and press enter. Hopefully it moves the leg and not the object because I fixed it to the center. Okay, so if I mirrored this, then 90 and 90 would be 180. So it would be the same distance as these 2 legs are. Okay, I'm going to press escape twice, and underneath the create tab, I click on create. There should be an option called mirror. Select that, and you need 2 things to do. First is your object, so I'm going to select all of these lines here, my object. And then I'm going to select the button for mirror line, and the mirror line is this line down the center. So if I click on that, it should generate a profile on the other side. And I'm going to press finish sketch. Okay? Now that should be done. It should mirror it perfectly. So you have the legs done. Now all we need to do is figure out how far to extrude it by. And looking here, it looks like it's 90 units. So I'm going to click on the home view. I'm going to click on extrude. I'm going to select both profiles, and I'm going to go back a total of, I guess, negative 90 units in this case, and press OK. Now that we've completed those 2 objects, let's go ahead and build what goes on top of them. I think the next easiest object to make would be where we're going to put the circle on, this like weird round looking thing here. And let's pretend for a second we don't know how to make these weird round things, which maybe you don't. But we do know that they start on one leg and they kind of wrap to the other. The only tricky part is that they're not starting at, the very edge here. They're kind of pushed in a total of what looks like 10 units. So how do we make this 10 units into the object? We need to offset a plane from this plane 10 units into the object. So let me show you how to do that. Go to Construct, select the option that says Offset Plane, and I want you to click on one of these front-facing planes or side-facing planes on the object, and then it's going to generate a plane, and I want you to grab that arrow and push it back 10 units, okay? By pushing it back 10 units, you're pushing it back to where this object starts, so that if we start a sketch on this plane, it's going to be in the correct location. I'm going to press OK, and when you do that, it keeps the plane there. So now we can create a sketch on this plane, and now we're looking at it from that plane's perspective. Now I'm not going to draw this C with all these irregularities to it, these radiuses over here. I'm just going to draw it in its base form, and the base form is just like a blocky, like C letter, okay? So it's going to go up here, make sure these lines are centered. I'm going to try to get it on the money, so on and so forth. If my numbers are off, that's fine. What the important thing is that my lines are straight and that they connect, okay? So that's the relative shape of the object, and now I can dimension it. Looking here, I know that the thickness is 10, the height is 45, and I think really that's all we need. So from this leg to this leg is 10 units, and make sure it moves the appropriate leg, 10 units. And then I'm going to take a guess that this here would also need to be 10 units. And then from the top of this to the bottom of the object, if it lets me select it, if not, I'll just click there, should be 45 units. Okay, so that's what I was talking about. It pushed everything up. That's fine. We'll just kind of work with that. I'm going to select this to this one and type in 45, enter, and it pushed it back down. Minus the fact that it didn't get the centers of the inside of these objects right. So let me just kind of measure this top line here first. That's 95. And if I subtracted 10 and 10, that would mean the interior is 75 units. So I'm just going to dimension these two lines at 75 units. Which leads me to believe that it's not 75, it's maybe 80 units. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, 80 units, and now everything's lined up. So I like the look of that. It looks pretty good. I'm going to finish the sketch, click on the home photo, and now we're going to extrude this out. We want it to be a mirror copy of the other one, so it's going to go all the way back except for a total of 10 units. So if the entirety of this object was 90 units and we subtract 10 from the top and 10 from the bottom, then this should be 70. So I'm going to specify this as negative 70 units and press OK. Okay, so we have that there now. Now I'm going to draw the other objects and then we'll deal with those round corners first. Let's take care of these circles. Each of them are 10 units in diameter, and they are 20 units from the side, and it looks like they're centered with the object based on the information they're giving me. So I'm going to start a sketch on this face, and because that face is the same as this face, we can just kind of draw all these in. So let's go ahead and draw these in. I'm going to draw a circle of 10 units. Whoops, I didn't made it 1 unit. That's always fun. 10 units, and this from this edge is going to be 20 units. Is it 20 units? Yep, it's 20 units. So I'm guessing from this to this edge is also 20 units to look like that. Yeah, that looks accurate. Okay, and that looks pretty good, and I can repeat it on the other side. And you might be like, well, can we mirror it? Yeah, we can. but I'm just going to make both of these. That's weird why it's not registering my tens. And then we can just get it on the other side. So 20 and 20. And now that we have both of these made, I'm going to once again draw a line down the center like that. I'm going to use the origin point to keep this line connected. And then I'm going to click Create, Mirror, and then select these two objects down here. Whoops, and I selected like extra lines, which was foolish of me. I'm going to go Mirror, select the two circles, okay? Don't select these other lines here. We don't want to mirror these lines. Then Mirror Line, I'm going to select that line, and I'm going to press Finish Sketch. So put them in the exact same location on the other side. So now we can just go ahead, select all four of these objects, and kind of cut them through the part, okay? Let's go ahead, create a sketch on the top now. We're going to draw in that circle. What do we know about it? Diameter of 30, diameter of 50, and it is extruded 30 units up, and it's centered with the object, okay? So the quickest way to find a center of a quadrilateral is to draw an X. You can sometimes rely on Fusion to draw it for you, or like to know the center, but I like doing that because it's very consistent. So 30 was one of them and 50 was the other. So select the circle tool, draw 50, and take a look at that. That looks good. I'm going to assume it's also cut through the entire object. And I'm going to press Escape twice, select these lines that I don't need, and just press the Delete key. All we really need are the circles. Once we have a dimension in place, I'm just getting rid of them so it doesn't cause the extrusion issues. And now I'm going to extrude the outside ring of the circle. I'm going to go up with that, a total of 30 units. So I'm going to type in 30, enter. And do we know if it goes through? We don't know if it goes through the object. There's no communication that it does. So it is okay to kind of just leave that filled in. Okay, the last thing we need are these triangles over here. They kind of go from one edge all the way to the center. And I'd say the trickiest thing about these is that they probably round with the edge. And that's sometimes a little tricky to do, but it's easy once you know the hang, or once you get the hang of it. All we need to know is the thickness of these lines, and it's 12 units. Okay, and I'll just kind of circle that 12. Okay, so if it's 12 units, this whole thing is 90, and we're going to create a plane that goes halfway through, and then we're going to back it off by half of this number. So half of 12 is 6, okay? And this whole thing was 90, so the plane goes 45, and then we're going to back it off by 6 units, so 39. And let me just kind of demonstrate that. Construct, offset from plane. I'm going to select the edge of this part like we did before. I'm going to go in 45 units, okay? But then I'm going to back it off by 6 units so that we can start this at the correct location. And that's going to make it 39, or negative 39 in my case. And I'm going to press OK. Now I'm going to create a sketch on this. Click on that. And all we know about this is it starts on here and it reaches up to the circle. Okay, now the circle's a little hard to kind of grasp, because if I drew a line from this edge over to the circle's edge here and I looked at it, actually that's not bad. That actually was pretty accurate. It was pretty close. It was much closer than I thought it would be. But it's not perfect. It's not exact. So let me delete this. We want to try and be exact for this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this profile so we can see exactly the edge we want to be on. To do that, I want you to click on Inspect and do Section Analysis. And then we're going to select the plane that we created that sketch on. So I'm going to open up the construction and I'm going to select plane 2, because that's the plane that we just created. And I'm going to press OK. So what it just did is it cut our object so that we could kind of see inside of it. And we're still on sketch mode. So now I can draw a line. And I'm going to zoom in so it kind of snaps from this edge over to that edge, okay? And that's where it kind of connects. And then I'm going to finish off this shape. I'm just going to kind of draw it a little inside the object. It doesn't have to be, but if we look here, it's kind of like really nicely wedged. So I'm just going to draw this in so that I know it's really nicely wedged. I'm going to go down here and then kind of connect it to there. Okay, so something like this would work really nice. Okay, these don't need dimensions. You just really need this first edge to kind of connect there. Okay, I'm going to draw one more line down the center of the object. Okay, I think that's the center, but I'm just going to dimension in case, if it lets me. And if it doesn't, I'll just draw another line. Oh, you know what? It's probably because of how it's set up. But that's fine. There has to be something I could use, so I'll use this edge here. And I'm going to dimension from this line to this edge here. It should be 90. Okay, mine was 90 already, so I actually did get it correct. But the reason why I wanted that line there, I'm going to delete this line, is now we can mirror this to the other side. So once again, go to Create, go to Mirror, and I'm going to try and just select the lines that make up this shape here. And then I'm going to click Mirror Line. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to press Finish Sketch. Okay, so now we have our sketch in place. It looks great. The only issue is that it's still in like this section view here, where we can see these section lines. So to turn that off, go over to your analysis folder, open that up, and turn off Sketch 1, and it'll put everything back to how it was. And I'll close that up. And now let's extrude out this object. So extrude, select both profiles, and we're going to go back a total of -12 units. And make sure it's not cutting, that it's actually extruding it out. And you could see right away that that looks pretty good. Let me press OK. Yeah, that looks okay. I was actually hoping it would be more perfect up there, but yeah, that is our shape. So, okay, everything looks about done. The last thing we need to do is curve off these corners here. We know it has a radius of 5, so that's just a quick fillet there. I'm going to click on the fillet tool, and then I'm going to select these outer edges, and I'm going to select the inner edges. So I'm going to turn this around, select that edge, and I think everything's selected. I'm going to specify that to be 5, and then I'm going to press OK. Okay, and that's it. That there is the isometric object that we were trying to make. Hopefully you can see the resemblance. Okay, hopefully you found that useful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, this is Mr. Z signing out. Peace.